For the past couple of weeks, we've been in Yellowstone, and today we're photographing against this big cliff. And this cliff is volcanic in nature, as you can tell by the columns, and it's just a beautiful place, not only from a landscape perspective, but also from a wildlife perspective, because living within these rocks are chipmunks and, more importantly, pikas. Now, pikas are kin to rabbits, and they're in the same family as rabbits, but what makes them hard to photograph is they're about a quarter the size of a cottontail rabbit, so they're really small and you got to be patient and get close to them. But what makes them more difficult to photograph is the fact that they blend in with the rocks. And so when you're thinking about photographing something like pikas or any other kind of wildlife, one of the things I always think about is background and having separation of the background. One of the favorite ways I like to take wildlife photos is to have the animal in focus and a real out of focus background. And to do that, it takes a specific technique. So the technique to make the backgrounds go out of focus is pretty simple. Number one, you want to shoot with a really wide open aperture. On my lens, it'll go as wide as f4. If I've got a teleconverter on it, it makes it f5.6. So when I'm trying to get a real creamy, smooth, out of focus background, I'm going to shoot at f5.6 as wide open as I can get it, or f4 if I don't have the teleconverter on. Number two, you got to think about the background. So the background goes out of focus in relative to how close it is to the subject. So in other words, if a background or a rock in this case is relatively close to the animal, the background won't be out of focus even though you've got the same aperture setting. So one thing I do is always try to find an angle where I can have the background that's a pretty good distance away relative to the subject. So sometimes you get lucky and the animal shows up in the right place, but sometimes in this case we've got a shaded area, and so we've got even light throughout. All I did was maybe move 5 feet to one side, and that way it allowed me to isolate the animal against a rock background that's further away. And by doing that, you can get that good separation, especially on animals like these that really blend into the background, into their surroundings.